as he goes through the story, time passes and he sort of evolves and sounds sort of more mature as he goes through the game. Around every corner there's a different billboard or a different shop, and all of these things include references to various different things, and some of them are really subtle, some of them are a bit more obvious, but there's lots of things that fans of Batman will enjoy.
Radio Times does gaming?
Yes, Radio Times does gaming. My name is Rob Lean, I'm the gaming editor at Radio Times, and today we've got another 2026 preview fresh from the Gamescom conference. At Gamescom, we were lucky enough to play quite a big chunk of LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. It's shaping up pretty nicely. It has kind of a Arkham Light kind of feel to it. But we also got to chat to the game's executive producer, Matt Ellison. So without further ado, let's load up that conversation.
Obviously, we got a kind of reveal of the opening night live trailer that Matt Berry would be starring and voicing Bane. So could you tell us a bit about, how that came about and why you went down that route?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it was just a suggestion from someone, and we asked and it worked out. So we were really pleased with that. We had a lot of fun with him in the session when we recorded all the lines, and so far people have only heard one, so there's plenty more to come. And we're really delighted with how that worked out.
Were you there for the voice recordings and got many memories?
I wasn't there in person, but I was in the session. So we had a few people listening in, and it was good fun in the session.
Nice. And are there any other kind of familiar voices we might hear from the cast?
I'm not sure if they're familiar voices. There'll be some people you recognise. There's a couple of things that we haven't announced yet, so I can think of a couple that are sort of quite interesting and a couple of surprises. But I'm not going to reveal too much yet. I will say on the subject though, we have said that Shai Matheson is going to be our Batman in this game, and he's done a really great job of portraying Batman in a way that really suits this game. So as you play through the game, Batman he starts off young, and he sort of, as he goes through the story, time passes and he sort of evolves and sounds sort of more mature as he goes through the game. So that's something that his performance has been able to bring to this and is unique to this game.
Nice. And obviously with Batman, there's obviously like a rich history. There's a lot of IP to kind of dig through. Was there anything that was kind of off the table or anything that you really wanted to kind of get through, but it kind of didn't work out?
I can't think of anything that was off the table. I think we've drawn from so many things. There are so many different Easter eggs and references. I don't think anyone knows all of them. And there's been very little that people have said no to. Like if it exists in DC and is familiar for Batman, I think it was fair game. So we put in as much as we can, and there's things everywhere. As you explore through Gotham, round every corner there's a different billboard or a different shop, and all of these things include references to various different things, and some of them are really subtle, some of them are a bit more obvious, but there's lots of things that fans of Batman will enjoy.
Have you got like a favorite Easter egg you can reveal or tease?
Do I have a favorite Easter egg I can reveal? I don't know. I think there's a couple of things that we've actually got in the demo that some people may have found. There's things like if you go to the music shop in Gotham, there's a guitar there, and if you can actually pick that up and Batman will play it and then smash it. If you break a fire hydrant and you wait and you can sort of just sit in the water, if you wait long enough, Batman will get a surfboard out and will sort of be doing that just sort of while he idles there. So there's lots of things like that that are really good fun that people just find accidentally as they're playing through.
Nice. And when it came about, casting the voice for Batman, did that kind of take a while to get it right? And did you kind of go through a few variations of like how you want that tone to sit sort of thing?
Yeah, we did spend quite a bit of time trying to figure that out. And like I said previously, where Batman in this game goes through the ages, we did want someone that could do one thing. We didn't want to have an actor who sounded really like one version of Batman, because then it would be that Batman. We wanted it to be something that can portray all of these different things. And we're really pleased that we think we found that.
Nice. And obviously we got to play the open world and see kind of how fluid it is, kind of move between all the different things on display. Can you kind of talk a bit about like how big the open world we can expect, and like was that quite a challenge to kind of like get that all together?
Yeah, Gotham is big and it's very dense. There's more verticality than we've ever had before. We filled it with puzzles, we filled it with secrets. There's something around every corner. If you wait a few minutes, there'll be a random crime going off for you to go and stop, and then something will appear somewhere else, so you've got to go off and investigate that. So there's content around every corner and lots of puzzles and different challenges and things to collect. So all of that gameplay is going to be in there, and there's hours of content there.
And we saw, specifically in the Ace Chemicals kind of bit we got to play through, that Jim Gordon obviously plays a fairly prominent role. Was that kind of something decided really early on that you wanted him to be actually playable and kind of like have a big impact?
Yeah, so Jim Gordon plays a big part in sort of how Batman does develop, and their relationship is something that is really important to the story. As you play through, Batman will meet other allies and his other Bat family members, and they'll be playable characters as well. So we're going to have 7 playable characters. And he has strong relationships with all those characters, and they all develop. As you play through, those other playable characters will have different gadgets you can unlock that will help you solve different puzzles. And of course, they're also going to have lots of different suits that you can collect as well. So we've got 100 different suits in the game, which is sort of split between all the different playable characters. So you're going to be able to choose your favorite of those that you've unlocked and play with your version of Batman in the story there as well.
Have you got a favorite of the 100 for you?
I do like a lot of them. One of the ones we've got here is the Rainbow Batman suit, which is a very niche one from a very old comic. And we did also actually use that in a DLC pack in a previous game as well for Lego Batman 3. So it's great to see that in the base game here this time around.
Nice. And, you mentioned about, other characters will have gadgets. Batman's got gadgets, and, in the open world, there's a lot of things going on. So with all those kind of mechanics that have to kind of like connect together, was there anything you kind of found particularly tricky to kind of like get it to mesh together and, during production?
I think there's always a challenge there, certainly. But I think one of the exciting things is that all of the gadgets have lots of different uses. So they're used for puzzles. They can also be used in combat, and that's resulted in a lot of emergent gameplay. So there's things like Batman has his Batclaw, which is used to pull grates off of walls. But in combat, you can also use that to bring enemies closer towards you. Once you've done that, you have the option to either punch them or you can throw them. And if you throw them, they might go into an environment and break into pieces there. Or if you throw them at your partner in this demo, we've actually seen some people do it. You throw them towards Jim Gordon will kick the character back to you, and then you can attack them there. So there's stuff that is just sort of appearing in the gameplay as you're doing that. So there's lots of fun to be had there.
Nice. And obviously there's, I think when people playing any kind of like Marvel or like superhero action game, they always think of like the Arkham games and things like that. Were any of those titles or any other kind of like hero games like an inspiration or anything you can kind of draw from as you were building?
Yeah, we've very much took inspiration from other games, particularly the Arkham series. And yeah, when we were looking at what we wanted to do in this game, we were looking at what can we improve. Combat is something where it was an area we thought we could improve, and they did a fantastic job of what they did. So we got that as sort of a template, and then what can we do for this game to make it work for sort of slightly more accessible so that younger players can get into it as well. So there's some things that we've simplified. Of course, we also have this game in local co-op as well. So figuring out how that combat works when there's 2 players involved in it as well, something we've had to consider and work in. But we're really pleased with how it's all come together, and people seem to be loving it when they're playing it. So we're delighted with how it's been perceived.
Nice. And as I understand it, for the Skywalker saga, there were some assets from like the Battlefield series that were kind of like shared to like help with production in that aspect. Was anything like that kind of available during this, like any asset sharing? In that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the great things where we obviously work with WB, and they also work very closely with DC. As we're all sort of part of one big family ourselves. So we've worked very closely with DC throughout this project from very early on with the story of the game. That was developed very closely with them. If there are different theatrical things we want to reference, they've given us material that will help us do that. So it all helps bring authenticity to it, and helps us get more accurate in this game, which we always wanted to be. We want things that people who are fans of Batman will go, oh yeah, they've got this right. Like that. Yeah. That's what we want in this. So yeah, it's been brilliant working with them on this project.
Cool, perfect. And my last question basically is a silly one really, but do you have a favorite Batman actor and a favorite Batman film?
Personally, I sort of the Nolan trilogy, Dark Knight trilogy. That's sort of the ones that I really watched. As you could probably imagine, I've found myself watching a lot more Batman stuff recently as well. My son, he's sort of 9 years old. He actually has been watching a lot of the animated series as well. So that's been great. It's sort of him watching that and enjoying that. And we've got different references to that show as well. So there's things across all the media. And like I say, so there's plenty to enjoy.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Radio Times does gaming.
Thank you for listening to the Radio Times Gaming Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the pod and share it with a friend, won't you? Please. We'll see you next time.